Hello everyone, welcome to the tutorials of the Next.js series. Please subscribe if you haven't done yet, and thank you for watching this video. And in the last video we have defined our getStaticPaths. As you know, this getStaticPaths is used for creating all of the pages in the build time for the Next.js. So it creates all of these pages on the build time, and it will be ready to use, for example, when the user came up there. So it's since it's a server-side rendered application, it's a bit more different than what we have onto the client-side rendered applications. So we need to define this getStaticPaths before creating these dynamic pages for multiple elements. So we get our products and we parse that JSON and also get all of the products, and we map through them, created the parameters, and passed the ID as product IDs, and we converted them to the string. And afterwards we return the paths and the fallback as a false. Now what we need to do, we need to create getStaticProps as we did in our products page at the beginning. It will fetch all of the data before it's rendered. So let's start, shall we? So export const getStaticProps. Here it will be an async function, and it will get the context here, get static prop context. Yes. And here we can say const id equals context params id. That will give us an error because it might be an undefined. So let's call it question mark here. So we get our id. Const response will be await fetch, and we will pass our URL. In that time we need to pass it through string literal because we need to add a dynamic URL here depending on the URL. So if you forget also how was it using, you can check it out on the dummy JSON. As you see, there is a products and ID. So we get our response now for that page, and we need to convert that response to data as a JSON. So let's call it data response.json. And afterwards we need to return this data as parameters, so for props. And here we need to define our props, and also we need to say data, let's call it product equals data. And so what we can do to make it look like much more better, we can just remove the data here and we can just use it like that. We don't need to change the values twice. Also here, now we pass our props directly, and we can start using it in our component now. All of the static paths and the static props has been set. It will take the ID from the paths itself, and now we can, from the context itself, the ID comes from, and now we can use it like that. So let's call product here, and it will ask us a type of the product. As you know, it is a product single element, and it has a product type which we have defined before. So you might want to take that as a product description page type. So let's call it here type product description page props type equal product and the product type. So instead of that, we can use this. Very good. Now if we console log here as a product itself, it will log us the element when we go to page. Also, let's create a span here and JSON stringify product itself. It will get all of the product elements and put it into the span onto the middle of the page. So let's go test it out. So we get an error here. It says the object promise, I think we forget adding an await somewhere. Yes. Let's fix it here. Now we have all the things we need. Very nice. So it seems a bit more bigger than I have expected, but let me close that one so we can see it much more better. I will put all of these into the div, and now I will add so we can actually remove this one and we can start adding the product details directly here. So let's call a paragraph here, and we can say title of that element into a product dot title, and ID, we were getting it ID from the router before, but now we don't need to. We will still get it from the router, but we can also product ID as product.id. We have that data. We don't need to get the router directly and use it like that. But it's up to you. We can also leave it like this. It's fine. Both of them is the same thing because we are creating the files regarding to that title. So let me put that here as well. So we get the product ID equals an ID. Let's clear that out. And the title, what else we have? Description, price, discount percentage, description, price, discount percentage, rating, stock, brand, category, thumbnail and images. We will use something different there. So let me, I didn't copy them. Let me paste them here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we can use all of these directly here. I need to create one more. Nice. So we can come up here and change all of them at the same time. Very good. So let's generate image, source, close this one, and product, thumbnail. Also, let's generate product.images map image. We will say and return here image source image itself, and close that one, and we need to return that directly. We can change the curly brackets to normal parentheses, so we don't need to write a return statement. It will return directly. So yeah, we can add the alt attributes as an empty for now, just for testing it out. Yes, all of the images is there, all of the product is here. So we have the product ID, title, description, price, discount percentage, rating, stock brand, all of the category, and also we have different images. As you see, all of the images is there. We can even remove the thumbnail here, and we can map through all of the images directly here. They have two different same image here. So since we finished our one page, let's see, can we use that in another pages? So let's go to the products and select something different. As you see, our product ID and the images, all of them is ready now. Isn't it cool? So we can use it all the stuff like this. It has been already created for us. We just need to click through them to see all of the images. So what we can do here, we can add the slider at the bottom, we can change the stylings. All of the things can be changed, of course, but as a right now, like the core Next.js functionality is here, so we know how we can use our application, and we can also redirect user dynamically to certain pages. Let's look at the iPhone X. It looks very nice. It is very nice. All right. So that's it, folks. Thank you for watching so far, and please do not forget to subscribe for future videos as well. I hope you are enjoying this tutorial series, and we will discover much more videos in the future, and stay tuned.